Ian, we got a Patreon.
Patreon.com/CU podcast. Go pay, receive.
Go pay, receive.
Go pay, receive.
Like a vending machine?
Yeah. Go pay, receive. Get the full video podcast. You get hangout sessions once a month. You can get bonus bits of the podcast. You can participate in these poll topics. I do a writing once a week.
We had a very, not intense, but very nice dialogue this week about social media and how it changes our behavior and things like that this week. Our Patreon poll topics this week, Ian. In second place, what is a Norm Winkle YouTuber? 34%. It's an article about our pal Norm we want to discuss. Hint, hint. Would you have covered, and in first place, 66%. It's like bait. Would you have covered Coleco Chameleon differently knowing what you know now? This comes from a suggestion from Aaron Bossig on Twitter. Would you, seeing it go through the worst iteration now with the Intellivision Miko, would you have covered it differently several years back?
Yeah, I mean, I think we wouldn't have even couched it as an idea. I mean, we would have assumed right off the bat that it wasn't going to be doable. When it came out, when they announced the retro VGS, I think that, in the Coleco Chameleon, I think we knew that it was a bad idea and it was doomed. And we knew that it was going to be difficult, but I don't think we realized how impossible it is. Now that we've seen a company such as Intellivision,
well, we didn't see the point at the time.
We didn't see the point.
Yeah.
Right. We didn't see the point, and that was the problem. I think now we would cover it from a slightly different perspective, and that is it's just not financially possible. Like, I just don't see it being financially possible to create a new small system like this that
for original games.
Like
the Evercade did the smart thing and said, we're going to do packs of games. We don't have to worry about that. It's a smaller form factor. You know what you get. We're not going to go pie in the sky, and we're going to give people what they want. They try to take the remember then play a game again bullshit where we're going to do new games and cartridges.
Yep.
That you can't probably get anywhere else. No bugs. We're locked into 1992, basically, and that's what you get. And at the time, we're like, gaming has evolved from there. Like, you want there to be potentially updates to games. Why would you not do that? So taking the old model for new games makes zero sense.
Yeah.
At all.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
At all.
No. I mean, it's just not part of the market. And as time has gone on, because they also had like a no DLC thing, I probably would have hammered on how stupid that was as well. Because love it or hate it, and I think most people hate it, it's the economic model. For a game developer to be able to make money off of a game these days, they can't just count on the initial sales. Games take up a lot of time to create. They need that revenue in between, big releases. So the DLC has to be there for small developers to be able to, make a living on this sort of stuff.
Or that becomes just their only game that they support for several years, potentially. You know what I mean? That could happen as well.
Right.
If the game's popular enough, maybe you want to stay in that world. Maybe that's all you want to do. Like, it limits your options so much to say, no DLC, this is what you get, and that's it. That's just, it's silly. It's a lot sillier several years later, but so looking back, yeah, we would have hammered, I think we would have hammered that point.
But in all honesty, I mean, I don't think the coverage would have changed that much, because it's not like we were ever particularly positive on the Coleco Chameleon. I don't think we ever were. And, after covering the Amico, all I can say is that our coverage would have probably, if the Amico had come first and the Chameleon had been second, all I can say is that we probably would have been even harder on the Chameleon.
Yes, because we would have saw, obviously, the track record of failure and all people's money was taken. Remember, the Indiegogo was canceled for the Chameleon, or Retro VGS, whatever it was at the time, Chameleon. They canceled the Indiegogo because people were like, this is bullshit. We need more evidence. I did that.
Well, and similarly to the Start Engine round of crowdfunding by television, it was embarrassing for them too, because they just weren't going to get anywhere near what they were asking.
Yeah. Would we have been? I think I would have been. We got blowback a little bit. Like, you were out, and then Gamester did his video about me when I never said his name, at all. I made it an intentional point not to say his name, being involved with the packing game. But looking back at it now, I think even with that, I think we use kid gloves in terms of some of the people that came after us, some of the critics. And looking back at it now, I think I would have been a lot more fierce going back at some of those people, because there were a couple of bigger YouTubers, remember, that even said stuff about our coverage.
Sure.
And their little fucking passive aggressive, wouldn't say our names thing, like that one fucking little troll that we both know. Like looking back at that now, I would have not. I would have went more full-throated at them, knowing that you are helping encourage what it looks like to be something not just bad, but could be in scam territory.
Yeah, I'm kind of split on that. I mean, we ignore a lot of. We haven't really mentioned any of the pro Amico YouTubers by names, but they're small. They're small. I probably bigger. I tend to like to ignore that because they want a reaction. They want drama. They want to create drama for so that you make a video so that they can make a reaction video and they can keep making videos and getting clicks off of them. So I like to ignore it. But bigger YouTubers, yes, it probably would have been a little bit.
There were some bigger YouTubers.
Probably would have defended ourselves a bit more.
Yeah. Because not just as I'm older, I'm way past the go along to get along phase of my life. Especially when that YouTuber in question, I end up seeing at a convention then, and not just ever apologizes, then asked me for like the bro deal on my book at a convention. It like not just never apologized, then fucking I know it's embarrassing. Fucking embarrassing. Try to be a tough guy online and then in person, can I get a deal on your book?
Who was that?
I'll say it after the show. I don't want to cause drama. I think I told you once. So like this is what I'm talking about, and that's obviously it's an ego thing with me, but it's like you stand behind your fucking words, or else don't pretend to be a fucking tough guy on the internet. Anyway, so other than that, I think our covers was
like Zadok Pay It.
Oh yes, you can bring up every fucking week.
Fuck Zadok Pay It.
We got to put it on the soundboard almost at this point. Yeah. So I think our coverage was pretty judicious. We went. I don't think we were overly acerbic with it until we were called out as drunken podcasters by Mike Kennedy on Atari Age. I think we actually laughed at it at how ridiculous it was. I don't think we got upset about it. We're like, this is like ridiculous.
Why would I get upset about it?
I'm just trying to remember it clearly though. Like, I think we were just like,
I wasn't angry. No,
it was ridiculous, and you knew that at that point the company's in trouble when a person of that sort of character, when they show themselves, you're like, this is not a company that can be run properly. This is the person heading it. The same thing going back to the 50 minute video that Tommy did about me and Ian. At that point, I'm like, this company's done. This type of person with this temperament cannot run this company properly.
Unhinged.
An unhinged person that cannot accept even a modicum of criticism cannot run a functioning company like that, especially when they're all surrounded by yes men. You cannot run a company if no one's steering the fucking ship properly. You're going to go into the iceberg. Like that's just the bottom line there. Other than that, the DLC thing is a big thing. Also, I think like just knowing what we know now about audience sizes because that was before even the NES Classic came out.
Sure.
The NES Classic wasn't until late 2016.
Right.
Like that's a huge property, obviously, Nintendo, but we saw how badly like even the PlayStation Mini did. Like that thing just sunk to the bottom of the ocean, and that's Sony. So the fact that you put out a physical system only gets you so far if you have no games that people want. If you have no games, like at the time the games they announced for the Chameleon were like, okay, like this might be a cute game to play, but these are not game like changes.
What was announced for the Coleco Chameleon?
Tiny Knight, Sydney Hunter was announced.
Tiny Knight was the one I was trying to remember.
There was like only like 5 or 6, I think.
Yeah,
announced, but they were like, these will be fine games, but you're not going to have like 100,000 people saying, I want to play this game on this console right now. That's just the reality of it, you know. So it is what it is.
I would have pushed more further into what is this actually running? What's it doing? Because you know, it wasn't obviously Android, but you know, what is this? What are you actually running these games on? What's the base? What's the development suite for it? I would have looked a lot harder into what the developers were using or what they were claiming the developers were using.
Yeah, remember they were claiming an FPGA. Remember that?
Yes.
They were claiming an FPGA on that. Yeah, because you didn't assume that this wasn't going to be worked on at all. We actually assumed like this is eventually going to come out and flop.
Right, but that's one question that I don't remember ever asking that we definitely asked a lot with the Amico is, what are these games supposedly running on? They haven't announced any sort of specs or interiors, so how can you possibly be making a game for the Chameleon?
Sure.
What is it? And I mean, it just ended up being that they were running Super Nintendo ROMs off of a, so that's what they had. Yeah.
It was a flash card running on a mini, but like at that point, I think they were desperate and realized we got to show something at Toy Fair.
Right.
It was just like that console would still not be out today. Like if they were actually working on it, it probably still would have come out with Mike Kennedy running it.
Oh yeah.
It would have crashed and burned at some point. So, all right, anything else in that?
No, that's about it.
Okay.